So, I got a few more questions here. One actually stems from that video that we shot the other day in regards to the mag retention.
Yeah.
And some people were asking, you know, you were saying, you know, drop the mag, reload, and get going. But the one question that came up a few times was, what do they issue dump pouches in?
Well, let me answer that question with a question. Who issues them? I can tell you where I came from, they didn't issue them.
So that's your...
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Again, a mousetrap, in my opinion.
Well, I think people are coming from the thing of, you know, like when you have comments on a video nowadays, you have people thinking multiple things. I'll say zombie apocalypse just for shits and giggles. Mm-hmm. You know, people are thinking, oh, well, if I'm in a zombie apocalypse, you know, end of the world, whatever. You know, I don't want to be dropping my magazine because I won't have any, you know, and well, at least you're coming from a position of being, you know, resupplied, so to speak.
Right.
But in my opinion, is, you know, and I run expensive mags. AK-74 magazines are not cheap nowadays.
I know.
I mean, but is that $50 a mag worth my life? Hell no.
Here's the way I look at it, dude. First off, you have to compare apples to oranges. War, civilian. In war, if I dumped all my mags on a mission, I'm just going to go back and get brand new ones.
Right.
Okay. So there's an endless supply for me. As a civilian, unless you have an endless supply of magazines, you know, and you dump, all you have are 5 M4 mags, and you get into a gunfight and you dump them all on the ground somewhere, well, now you're screwed. But, you know, I'm just here to tell you, where I came from, nobody carried a dump pouch.
Right.
Nobody.
And that's kind of where I came at with the comments. I said, you know, you're coming from a different perspective than a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, and I've heard that term. I mean, do I believe in that? No, I don't. You know, that's my opinion. I've heard about it, and I can't quite let that register. But let's just talk about something that's more prevalent. Let's just say you are a guy or a girl that carries a pistol, right? Let's just say you're carrying a 45 single stack, and let's even give you a little bit of advantage. You got a 10-round Chip McCormick magazine in it, and you got 2 on your hip. So you've got 30 rounds. Dude, you can shoot 10 people 3 times.
Right.
Where are you that you're shooting 10 people, first off? Are you taking down a compound in Afghanistan? You see what I'm saying? And
yeah.
That's why it you know, in special operations too, depending on how high up the chain of command you are, or not chain of command, but how high up the food chain you are, you're not going to see guys carrying 13 magazines.
Yeah.
You're going to be carrying 4 mags in one of your gun. That's 5 30-round mags. You can shoot 30 people 5 times.
That was one of my questions I was going to get at. Like, I know certain missions are slick, certain missions are not. I mean, I know all that stuff. You know, where do you feel comfortable?
Again, mission dictates.
Mission drives the gear.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I can tell you right now, the missions I've been on, I've always carried 5 mags or 4 mags on my vest in one of my gun. Normally it was 4. Very low vis, especially if you're laying prone. If you're laying prone and you've got all this stuff in front of you, guess what? Your body's up off the ground like that.
Exactly.
Very low vis, very lightweight. Again, 4 and 1, that's 5 mags, that's 150 rounds of 5.56. You can shoot 30 people 5 times. And you're with 20 other guys. I mean, you're not wiping out a town. You know what I mean? Like that. So, but you have to understand too, at that level of the game, you can carry less ammo because you're shooting more accurate. You're not a novice out there just going king, 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 and you know, losing fire discipline. you can dump a mag, and you know as well as I do, 30 rounds, boom, and it's gone. But when you're trained to a certain level, you're very, very particular with your shots. You're not just going to go slinging rounds downrange. King, 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 king. You're going to be very, very particular, and you're going to be hitting what you're shooting at.
Right.
So you don't need to carry 13 magazines.
Right.
You don't need to. You know the difference between carrying 4 and 13.
Hey, this is my carrier. I only got 3 on the front.
There you go. That's what I'm saying, man. It just, now.
But again, mission drives the gear, too.
You're going to jump into an area or, like Operation, I'm trying to remember what it's called, Red Wing. I think the SEALs were going in where, they were going into a very bad situation. Well, maybe, yeah, if you're jumping into you're probably going to bring more mags. You're going to have some in your backpack. Environment, where are you going? What is happening? But, SEAL Team 6 that did the Bin Laden raid. I wasn't there, but I know a little bit about it. Those guys were carrying just a couple mags. They weren't carrying 13 magazines,
Yeah.
They were going pretty slick. Their gear was pretty low profile. Granted, they were carrying some weight. You had your body armor and backpacks and medical stuff and whatnot. But, these guys are smart. They're smarter operators. You have to move quickly, stealthily. You've got to climb, going over walls, whatever. You can't do that when you've got, your vest sticking out this far.
Yeah, when you got 8 mags hanging off the front.
Yeah. You can't.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at with that. Mission drives the gear as to what... I mean, how much of your time, in special forces and such, were you running, plate carriers versus not,
I'll be honest with you, pre 9/11, it was just a lot of patrolling stuff. When you're just out in the bush patrolling, you didn't even have body armor. You were just wearing your LBV, your Rhodesian chest rig, whatever you were wearing, and obviously the armor was there. You had it. But if you're just doing basic patrolling stuff, a lot of guys weren't wearing anything. But once you're in an urban environment, of course, you're going to wear a vest. And I know guys that take their back plate out. I never did that. The extra little weight that I'm carrying, for me, I'd rather have it.
Yeah.
Now, I've never wore the plates on my side. I've never wore those. I tried wearing it one time. It was just very uncomfortable for me. I know some guys do, some guys don't. But front and back plate, absolutely. If I could wear Kevlar underwear, I would. The bottom line is this stuff works. And again, that gets back to training. If you know you're going to be wearing that stuff for real, you best be training with it.
Exactly.
When you're coming to shoot your pistol, because you can't get full extension because the way that your arm's going to be. So.
Well, even with your rifle, I mean, when you're getting it,
Exactly, your stock weld's going to be different.
Yep.
Same with a helmet.
Yep.
It changes everything, and everything slows down. I mean, do you think I can do 1 second draws with all my kit on? No way. I can do it slick, but I can't do it with full kit.
Right.
Can't do it.
So let's talk about A-TACS. I know that's your camo that you like. I know you wore it on the show.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us about? I know you were testing some over there. You guys were like checking it out overseas and such. I mean, what do you see in it compared to other ones like multicam or whatever?
Yeah, man. I think about my third trip over to Afghanistan, we had brought over about 20 different types of BDUs, and it was all from Digi to we had A-TACS with us. We had what else? Multicam, Desert Tiger Stripes, the Marpat. I don't know if you heard of the Marpat pattern. All these. We even had, if I'm not mistaken, we had Realtree. We had even civilian patterns, and we put them up on this hill, and we made a drawing of, okay, this is where this is where this is, and then we went back, and I think we went about 100 yards, and we turned around and looked. and we were looking through binos and through optics and things, because one thing that a lot of people don't know is camouflage, depending on the way it's made, you get what's called the blobbing effect. And what basically happens is because of the rods and cones in your eyes, as you're looking out at the distance, the colors will blob together. And especially if you're looking through an optic, it really blobs. The thing about A-TACS is the way that stuff is designed, it don't blob. I don't know how they figured it out, but it does not blob. It was the last pattern, and we couldn't even find it. We had to go up there and go, where in the hell did we put this thing? It was that well camouflaged.
Wow. Because you see a lot of people run a multicam, and they're saying, oh, this stuff's great. Even now, the new Cryptic, I think, is one of the newer ones.
Man, I've got multicam, and I know guys are coming back from downrange wearing multicam. And if I'm not mistaken, the Army's actually going to multicam.
Right. Yeah.
Understand. You know what? I'm not going to comment about that. I think that all has to do with contracting and people being at the right place at the right time and influencing the Army.
Right.
You know. But for practicality, overall concealment effectiveness, A-TACS, in my opinion, they have two kinds. Actually, they have three kinds now. They have the law enforcement version I've never seen. I don't have any interest in using it. But they have the AU, which is desert, and then they have the FG, the foliage green. And it is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, it's a pattern on a pattern on a pattern, isn't it?
Dude, it's really crazy. I actually have some I just washed. Matter of fact, here. I have it right here. I can see it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right. We have what you have right here. These are just beanies, but this is the foliage green. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, it's probably not a good...
I back it off just a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
That's just a beanie I have, and that is the new foliage green A-TACS pattern. And then this is their AU, which is their desert pattern.
And you were wearing that in the
Yes.
Mars on Earth episode?
Correct. I've worn it on several, but it's extremely well designed, and it's like a combination of digital and like watercolor. It's just the strangest pattern I've ever seen in my life. But I'll tell you right now, it works, and I can tell you it works because I've tested it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty much all we got here. Actually, there's one other question actually I want to get to, and it was in regards to fine motor skills versus gross. And you see a lot of guys who will run, they use the slide stop on pistols as a slide release. You know, like Glocks. They aren't meant to be used with the, releasing a slide. And I call it power stroking. You're using a slide versus, using fine motor skills. What's your thoughts on the fine motor skills? And
here's the deal, dude. This has been proven time and time again. And anybody that does not believe this has never been in a gunfight. When you are in a high-intensity armed confrontation, gunfight, the adrenaline dump that you're going to get is going to be overwhelming. It is a known fact that you will lose fine motor skills because the blood is going to pool from your hands and your extremities to your vital organs. You cannot stop it. So, a fine motor skill is doing something like this. And this goes back to the tactical reload where you drop the one mag out, put it in your hand, you put it in that's a fine motor skill. I have been trained on gross motor skills because that's the way it's going to go down. You've got to train like you're going to fight. And so, yes, have I trained and messed around with a tactical reload? Sure. I sure have. It's a good weapons manipulation drill. Getting the gun in your hand and all that. But the fact of the matter is, in a real gunfight, I have never in my life said, I think I've got 2 rounds in my M4. I'm going to keep this magazine for... Dude, if you're in a situation and you're slinging rounds downrange, those 2 rounds are not going to save your life. What's going to save your life is staying in the fight and getting another magazine in your gun and staying engaged with the enemy. Not thinking that the 2 rounds that you just pulled out of your rear end, you're going to put it in your bag and you're going to keep it.
Yeah, and a lot of people say, well, what about when you get behind cover? You get behind cover, tactically reload, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. And this is what I will tell you, dude. And again, this is just opinion. If you can break your adrenaline dump and your tunnel vision and get all your mind together, that is about the only time that you would ever be able to pull something like that off. Literally, most people are going to go click, or you're going to get slide lock and go, shit, I'm empty, because you're going to be so focused on putting rounds down range to eliminate the threat. You're literally going to go to slide lock anyway.
Right.
Drop the mag, new one in, and get back to work. But that's a very good point. Yes, behind cover, things have slowed down, and you're like, oh shit. You look, and I can tell you a few times, I've done a press, and I've also carried magazines that has a window. The Magpul magazines.
Yeah, the PMags.
Have a window in them that you can see how many rounds. Just to look real quick. I've done that before, but as far as doing a tactical reload, I personally have never done that. Now, you may interview some guy that says, I do it every time.
At the range.
He may even say he's done it in combat. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my personal experience
right.
has been drop the mag on the ground, put another mag in the gun. Gross motor skill. And I can just tell. And again, if I had to be resupplied, our resupply wouldn't just be ammo. Our resupply shit sandwich somewhere, you're not sitting there loading magazines. They're already dropping magazines to you that are loaded.
Right,
you understand?
Exactly.
So again, you've got to compare apples and oranges. As a civilian, no one's going to resupply you. So if you got a 45 and 3 10-round magazines, you got 30 rounds. That's it.
Right.
So, but again, I don't know where you're at. You can shoot 10 people 3 times a piece.
Right.
What are you doing, robbing a bank?
Yeah, you're...
You know what I'm saying? So, and the whole idea is to break contact and run like hell.
Right.
Not stand there and fight, That's just stupid, That's just dumb. Only a fool would do that. Only a fool is also going to stand out in the open and shoot. You're going to get behind cover.
Right.
First thing. First thing.
Yeah.
First thing. If you're not, you're an idiot.
Yeah, and I get that a lot on videos because I'll do videos on drills, like
Right.
balancing speed and accuracy and all that jazz. And I'll be doing a drill, working on my marksmanship, and I'll have people comment and say, well, why aren't you behind cover? And I try to separate I'm working on my marksmanship now. I'm not working on my active or, whatever marksmanship you want to comment on, but...
Yeah. Seek cover, and that's... And a lot of people, even when they seek cover, don't even seek the right cover.
Yeah.
They think they're safe behind a cinder block wall when somebody's shooting an AK or an M4 at you. Sorry, you're not. That's not cover.
Yeah, I just did a test actually on just a regular door. You see like a metal with fiberglass inside, and I just shot it. Because people think, oh, I can get behind a door. So I made a video on it. Anything will go through that.
Anything. Yeah. And that's what people don't understand. Only good cover is like behind an engine block of a car. That's good cover. If you're, behind, rocks, reinforced cinder block. What I mean by cinder block reinforced is concrete in between. They poured with rebar.
Right.
That'll stop, most rounds. But regular cinder block walls, dude, AK-47, 5.56, especially if somebody's shooting at you, it's just going to tear that thing apart. You're going to get hit, sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of misconception about gunfights and tactical training and cover and concealment. And I always, people are like, what's the difference between cover and concealment? Very simple. Cover stops bullets. That's it.
Right.
Cover stops bullets.
It's basically, can you get shot or not? Still.
Yeah. You know, concealment is hiding. You know,
Right.
this is concealment. This is concealment, you know, hiding in the brush.
Right.
This stuff ain't going to stop bullets hiding behind, you know, weeds and trees and stuff. So, but the whole idea for me when it comes to training people is being situationally aware. And this is a story I tell. I don't care if you have a sub 1 second draw, and you can put every round in a 5 ring at 20 meters. If you walk out to your vehicle one night at 1 o'clock in the morning after you've had gone out somewhere with your friends, and you don't notice the guy that's near your car hanging around with a bat in his hand, you're not even going to get your gun out.
Right.
I don't care how fast your draw is.
Exactly. You got to know your surroundings.
You have to go for your gun if you're not situationally aware.
Right.
People have to understand that, you know, there's more to shooting and tactical training than just, you know, shooting and doing reloads. It's the OODA loop. It's, you know, the color codes of awareness. You know, it's what are your reactions to a high-intensity situation. Like, my biggest thing is I have auditory exclusion big time. I don't remember hearing anything. You know, you're going to get tunnel vision. You know, your heart rate's going to double. You know, people have to understand that this is going to happen. I don't care how many gunfights you've been in. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And unless you train that way, you're screwed. Why do you think, nothing against police officers, but I can turn on, I don't know how many YouTubes of these police stops where the cop was standing point blank range.
Yeah.
The guy that's in a car, and the guy shoots at the cop, and the guy shoots back 15 rounds and doesn't hit the guy.
Right. Yeah.
Why?
Situational awareness.
Yeah, not aware and not training the way they're going to fight. And, you know, I have the utmost respect for police officers. You know, they're our first line of defense here. But the sad fact of the matter is the police officers that I have trained with, for the majority, they just don't shoot enough. They shoot just enough to pass their shooting standards, and they don't shoot the way they are going to fight.
Right.
Statistics say, and this is actually generous, 80% of the rounds fired by a police officer in the line of duty do not hit the freaking target. That means 8 out of 10. Perfect example, when those guys in California years back robbed that bank, and they came out all decked out in body armor and AK-47s, over 1,400 rounds were shot at them. You're telling me no one could have pulled off a headshot? Really?
That's what they're saying.
One shot to the head would have dropped one of those guys.
Yeah.
They ended up killing themselves, if I'm not mistaken. No, the one guy got shot.
Yeah, the one guy was like bleeding out, I think.
The other guy killed himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fact, not fiction.
Right. Now you look at the guys in New York, the police officers in New York that were shooting at that, I think it was about a couple months ago, where they were shooting at someone. I think there were 3 or 4 of them, and they actually ended up shooting innocent people.
Exactly, dude. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, and that all goes down to training, quality of training. Are you training right? Are you making bad habits, training scars? You know, it all plays into it. And here's the last thought. You know, I have a friend of mine who's a phenomenal operator, and he has a great saying. You have to be able to shoot cold and on demand. Meaning, chances are, when the shit hits the fan, you just didn't walk off the range after a 2-hour warm-up.
Right.
You, at home, you hadn't shot in a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or a year, and now the bad guy in the Cookie Monster is at your front door. You better be able to shoot cold and on demand, and that means practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, first shot counts.
That's right, man.
All right, well, that's pretty much all we got for you here today with Joe Teti on talking tactical. Maybe we can think of some other things in the future. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
great. I love talking tactics, man. I can talk all night about it. And again, just for everybody watching, these are my opinions, nothing more, based on my training and my experiences over 20 years in special operations and training with some of the best warriors our country has ever produced, and training with, without a doubt, the best instructors money can buy. So, you know, take it for what it's worth, and I would challenge anyone to do your own homework and see what other people have to say. You know, people aren't going to agree with everything I just said, but I'm still here to talk about it. So
you gotta take the knowledge and put it in your toolbox and pull from what works for you.
Right, exactly. Everything I've said to you, you may not like, but if I've said one thing, then put that in your tactical toolbox, like he just said, and forget the rest of it.
Yeah. All right. Yep. Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, and I'll put all the links down below to all your stuff.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks.
Let me know when this is going out so I can watch it.